What is up, guys, gals, and non-binary pals? My name is Naomi. Welcome to House of Miscellania. Today I'm coming at you with a kit up in chat, meaning that I'm going to kit up a project and then I'm going to chat with you for about an hour. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Nice to see you. And if you're coming back to see me, welcome back. Yeah, so I will go ahead and kit up my piece for Black History Month. And then at the end, I'm going to read a tarot card as our thought for the week. I apologize for the late whip and chat / kit up and chat. It was quite a week. And then last night last night before last, Tuesday night when I would normally do a live stream and then I would get into my whip and chat, my daughter called me in the afternoon. They were having some issues with a pipe freezing and I had to go over. Okay, so first their furnace had gone out. There was like the ignition switch or something on it went out, and my daughter's boyfriend's dad came over, fixed the furnace, and the house had dropped to a really low temperature because here in Wisconsin, it's like freezing cold. Excuse me. And meanwhile, the house got down to 55, but under the house was like freezing cold. They had a pipe freeze, and I went over to apply some heat tape, and we used a space heater. We used to live in a trailer many years ago, and so had some experience with regard to where the pipes are and how to get them all set up and whatever. So went over there with our heat tape and pool noodles and got it covered up, and then the pipe was unfrozen and was able to move some water. But I think my daughter learned a lesson about just keeping even a drip of water going in the winter in Wisconsin. It is really vital here. Anyways, so I picked out a piece for Black History Month. I wanted to work on, well, what I really wanted to work on was a piece from Geneva Bowers or another person of color, but unfortunately, Diamond Art Club hasn't done a Black History Month release yet. Now, to be fair, last year they did their Black History Month release on like the 12th or something of February. It was well into February. And so I didn't want to make it a afterthought because Black History Month is not an afterthought to me. I, in fact, plan for a Black History Month kit every year. So that being said, I ended up working on, picked up Bouquet by Ivy Dollamore, and she is absolutely beautiful. It is a palette that I am not typically like working on. There's no blue in here. Well, there's a little teeny bit of blue, but the blue is not the main color. There's no rainbows, and I mean, it is a cool palette, which I do work on a lot of cooler palettes, but this one is absolutely beautiful, and the render actually looks amazing, which, you know, you can, I suppose I can, hold on a second, I'll go grab it. Okay, I brought it over here. Now, one thing I didn't remember was that Bouquet is a square, which I was not expecting. There is a lot of color blocking in this piece. Like, the whole background is basically color blocking, and there's a little bit, you know, happening down here, but I didn't remember she was a square. And this is in the days before, before they had fairy dust, I think, because there are 3 ABs in this piece, but no fairy dust. So I thought, you know, I might do some blinging of this piece. In fact, maybe if I get the drills in here in a decent amount of time, we can talk a little bit about enhancing kits. Because I think a lot of people are afraid to enhance their canvases and they don't really know how to start or where to start. And there's only 31 colors in here, so I don't imagine it's going to take me too long to actually get that kitted up. So yeah, let's get that started. I had to go ahead and take my sweatshirt off because I was like roasting. So let's get her a page in the book here. Gotta find an empty spot. Oh, I want to put it I could, as long as I cut some stuff up. Okay, we'll put it over here. I'm also working on Witch's Tea House. This is a friendly DP along that I'm doing with my beautiful friend Noelle, Diamonds in Recovery. And so she and I were kind of like, what kit do we have in common? Like, we gotta figure something out that we both have. And it turned out Witch's Tea House was something that we both have. We actually have quite a few kits in common, but some of them it's like, okay, well, I already did that one, so I can't obviously, you know, do it twice. Or it's like, but I was saving that for, you know, whatever, something else. And so I didn't want to work on it, or same with her. She was saving it for something else, didn't want to work on it. And so we settled on Witch's Tea House. She's cute. So we're going square for square. She thinks that she's driving me crazy because I told her I will only work on the squares that she works on. So if we go one square at a time, and when we're able to get together, you know, if that's once or twice a week, then that's all it is. Then that's how many squares I do. And she's like, well, on the next one, you don't have to go square for square with me. I know it's driving you crazy. I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm all right. I told you I was going to do it square for square with you, and that's what I'm going to do. All right, I'm going to write my kit update on here. I usually add that. I don't know why. Don't ask me. What's the date today? It is the 21st of January already. Oh my gosh. Feels like time is flying. These are my like current whips or finishes, things like that. I've got a lot going on. But yeah, so I told her I would work on that with her, and she was like, yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I've already stickered all of my craft mates. I'm doing this a little bit differently this time, just because I thought, you know, generally what I would do is I would have all of these separated, you know, put into my my containers, you know, like these things. I would put it into these things and have it in DMC order, but with 31 colors, like, I didn't really see the point. Okay, so that's what we've got. Put that there. Okay. Wow. Okay, so some of these I've got a lot of bags of. So obviously I will not be putting all of the bags into the storage. Okay, so 819. I figured I would just, yeah, go along and... Oh, I was like, what happened? Oh, something mixed. Yeah, I figured I would go through and just, like, pop them into the containers that they go in. Anyways, how has your week been? Have you been keeping busy? I know, like, there's been a lot of snow here. I totally can believe it's Wisconsin. We are a state that gets snow, but honestly, like, the amount of snow that we've gotten is wild. I don't think that we've had this much snow in, it's been years. It's been a lot of years since we've had snow like this. Honestly, I can't even remember the last time that we ended up with snow in this amount. Like, even just today, it snowed in the morning. I went out, I shoveled, because after, I don't know, a certain amount of inches or whatever, they expect you to get the snow off the sidewalk. I live on a corner lot, so I have, like, not including the driveway, which is a 4-car driveway. I probably have, I don't even know, 250 feet of sidewalk that I have to shovel, which is not my favorite thing. And so, yeah, I just, woof, man. Went out and shoveled in the morning. Thankfully, this particular 4 bags, oh my goodness. This time, the snow was very fluffy, and so I didn't have a lot of... Why is this shaking so much? Sorry. I'm like not doing anything, so I can't understand why my camera is like shaking. Okay, I think it's going to be all right because I have a shock absorber on the camera, so I think it's probably not shaking for you. If it is, I'm really sorry. I don't know why. There's like, my son is next door in his room, but he's like sitting, like they have a loft bed, and he is sitting underneath the loft bed, like just hanging out. He's not doing anything, so I'm not sure why everything is shaking right now. I thought it was something I was doing, but I'm sitting here like perfectly still and it's still like bouncing. Very weird. You know, you live in a house that's that was built in 1900 and you get some funkiness occasionally. So I'll keep an eye, but I really hope this isn't like shaking and making you dizzy or something. So sorry about that in advance. If I have to like ditch the whole thing, I might have to ditch the whole thing. I don't think I will though. Like I said, there's a shock absorber, so it should be all right. Anyways, what was I saying? I don't even know. Oh, weather, snow. It was a very fluffy snow, and so 4 bags. With the fluffy snow, it was very easy to move, which I was so grateful for. I can't even imagine having to move like was it last week? Last week we had a really slushy snow, and so getting that into off the sidewalks and stuff, like, oh my god, I was exhausted. I mean, my shoulders today are really sore because again, I shoveled in the morning a few inches, and then it snowed again in the evening, and then I had to shovel again, and that was another probably 3 inches. Granted, again, it was fluffy snow, but when you're doing a repetitive motion like shoveling, it can definitely wear you out. And I'm not a spring chicken anymore, guys. I'm just not. But yeah, so we've had a lot of snow this year, and I mean, I feel like in the past, yeah, we get our snows or whatever, but usually it's like, okay, October, November, it snows. December, it's dry. January's dry. Might get another snow in February, and then nothing after that. It's a little bit silly. But this time we've just been dumped on. Okay, so I need to get to 400. That's this one. This color palette is yummy. I'm very excited about this color palette because, again, it's not something that I usually work on. Like, yeah, I'll do ones that have like beige or pink, a lot of pink, but oranges and things like that, they're not colors that I tend to gravitate toward. And not because they're ugly colors or anything like that. It's just more or less because it's just not, I don't know, it's not a palette I choose. Like, I feel like there's a correlation between the like colors that you enjoy aesthetically for canvases and the colors that you wear for clothing. So I don't wear orange. I don't wear reds. And I wear a lot of blue. I wear a lot of rainbow. I wear a lot of cool colors. It was only just maybe, I don't know, very recent, that I started to wear yellow. My daughter had gotten me this like burnt yellow colored sweater, and I wear that. And I thought, like, oh my gosh, yeah, yellow's just going to make me look jaundiced or something. And actually, I was very pleasantly surprised that I looked as nice as I did in it, because I was expecting it to look like horse crap. And so, I don't know, is that, if you were to look at your stash, whatever your stash looks like, if it's, you know, 5 kits, 10 kits, 125 kits, whatever the case may be, do you find that your canvases sort of reflect the colors that you choose to wear? Because mine definitely does. Because, you know, like, of course, I have the oddball orange kit, which isn't generally the color palette that I go with when I'm, you know, wearing clothes or whatever. But for, you know, the one-off, maybe I have an orange sweater or whatever. It's true for me. I don't know. I think if it's true for me, it might be true for others. So I'm curious. You let me know. Excuse me. So, yeah, I do a Black History Month kit every year. I have since 2023, I think. 2023, I started the channel late. So I don't have, because I only really started to put the kits that I've worked on in, like, you know, when they started, when I finished, whatever. And for Black History Month, I had only really just started the channel and didn't, I don't think that I actually put the kit that I did for Black History Month in 2023 in here, but last year's was A Cup of Sunshine. And so I was very, very happy to do her, especially because it was Geneva Bowers, a person of color. Let's see, looking for A Cup of Sunshine. There she is. Yeah, so I received her and started her on I kitted her up on the 12th. I started her on the 13th and finished her on the 23rd. And so very interesting. Very, very interesting. I like to, like I said, I like to celebrate Black History Month. It's really important to me. I've talked about it in prior Whippin' Chats, like as to why I find it so important to me as a person. And I feel like, especially now in the world, and I'm not gonna get into politics. I don't on the channel anyways. What I will say is that generally from all sides, we could use a lot of kindness right now. I feel like there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of unknown in the world. And if we could just have a little bit of kindness and just simple, like, recognition for each other and recognition for our successes instead of just constant recognition of our failures, that maybe the world would be a better place, you know? And so I think that recognizing people who are not like us and making people who are not like us part of the conversation is really important. I mean, I'd like to think that it's fairly obvious when people click on one of my videos that I'm incredibly accepting of all people, all types of people. That's why I start my videos with what's up, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, so that people know that I don't care who you are, you're welcome here. And I don't even have to necessarily have the same viewpoints or like political affiliation or whatever as a person. Like, that doesn't so much matter to me. What does matter to me is that people feel seen and that people feel accepted, you know, because oftentimes what I have found is that I have more in common with people who don't think like me than the people who do, you know. And I think that's true, like, kind of across the board. It's like people, if they just took a minute to get to know another person, that they might see how similar they really are. And obviously, if you get to know each other and appreciate each other for your differences, then maybe there can be more understanding. I think that's why I really enjoy the Enemies project on YouTube as much as I do, because I feel like it goes it goes the, excuse me, the route of having people get to understand the other person instead of just arguing like the 20 versus 1 or whatever it is. I feel like that just basically is there to gear people up for an argument or to gear people up for a fight. Like there's a winner and a loser, and they're just, I don't know. I feel like everybody loses when you don't at least get to know and understand the other person's point of view. You don't have to agree with their point of view, but to get to know their point of view and to try to better understand why they might think or feel that way. A person's lived experiences are not going to be exactly like yours, and so listening to a person, like not just hearing, but listening to a person when they speak is the best gift that you can give them. And if you're just sitting there like trying to think of what you're going to say next, you haven't actually given them your attention. You haven't given them the whole and total respect of listening to what they're saying and like kind of hearing what their sort of like hopes and dreams are and the stuff that they say and their point of view and why they might think that way. There are some points of view I will probably, no, not probably, I will never agree with. But those instances, I don't run into many of those types of people, so it's not so much a problem. I will never understand, I will never accept, and I will never agree with a person who is just outright racist. That just isn't going to happen. I can't see a point of view in that. And I just, nope. But in my day-to-day life, I don't really meet a lot of people who honestly and truthfully think that way. Thank God, because I cannot. So I still have an extra house guest, Jade, my son's friend. She is still staying here. She's doing well. She's working. She's saving her money so that she can work out an apartment for herself. And, you know, hopefully she can find something. I gotta check in with her tomorrow about, you know, kind of like how the week has looked and how her search is going. If there's resources that I can help offer, that sort of thing. But I'm happy to say that, you know, she's not a nuisance. She doesn't make herself a problem. She cleans up after herself. Like, I don't have to ask her. I mean, yeah, there's like some confusion around like items that would be recyclable being thrown in the garbage, or things that are garbage being thrown in the recycling, like the simple little things, because she wasn't really asked to do those things at her house, so she might not necessarily know to do those things. But I think she's also learned a lot about just generally adulting by staying over here and learning from me. You know, we had an actual like kind of heart-to-heart conversation this week, and I'm not going to get into details about what the conversation was about because that much isn't important. However, you know, it brought her to really heightened emotion. And when she's like, I don't even know why I'm crying, this is so stupid, and it's like, well, I mean, to be fair, you haven't exactly had a mom to talk to in a very, very long time. Like me, her upbringing was very much like mine, in that my mom wasn't so much my mom as she was my friend, which is a really weird relationship to have with a mom. Like, okay, my daughter, my oldest daughter, is one of my best friends, right? However, I'm mom first and foremost. Like, as much as I want to be my kid's friend, right? I'm not their friend, I'm their mom. And so, you know, I make that very clear that yeah, I want to listen to you with respect and validation. At the same time, I want you to understand that I am still coming from the perspective of parent, and that I'm going to do my best to answer or to respond or respect them from that position. But as for, like, you know, my kids being like my friends that I party with, or my friends that, you know, I hang out with in that sort of way, no. Whereas my mom and Jade's mom, that's kind of how that went, you know. It's like they want to hang out with you, they want to hang out with your friends, they want to drink with you at 13 years old or 16 years old or whatever. And it's just not, it's not appropriate, you know? It just isn't. And so I think that she's learning a lot. Like, I was showing her how to cook some stuff because she has no freaking idea how to do anything except use a microwave. So I was kind of showing her how to make simple things, just staple things like noodles. You don't think about the fact that, like, when you're moving out on your own, you may be required to make things for yourself. And one of the things that, you know, they're easy to make, but they're easy to mess up, are noodles. Even mac and cheese noodles or spaghetti noodles or whatever, just like noodles, soups. I showed her how to make chili because I made myself like a vat. I would say it's like a pot of chili, but it isn't a pot of chili. It was like a vat of chili. I love chili personally. I could eat it for days and days and days until I don't poop right. And so I make this vat of chili, and I've been eating chili, honestly, for, I don't know, the last 3 days. I would say pretty much every meal. Look at those ABs. Hold on, I'm going to open this up so you can see them. Look at those ABs. Ooh, pretty. Kind of makes me all right with the idea that there's no fairy dust. These also look to be the peaked drills, because I was concerned. Yeah, I was concerned that this would be a kit where 2 colors, okay. I was concerned it was going to be a kit where it was going to be the old grid, and I don't think it's the old grid. I think it is actually the updated grid, which I'm very grateful for. Like I said, I completely forgot that this one was a square too. I had to, in order to kit this up, I had to kit down another kit, specifically my albino mermaid from Muni Made. And I gotta tell you, like, I was just so wildly disappointed in how that particular kit turned out. Like, I got started on it. I did the first, like, I don't know, 2 squares. And I realized I just did not like the way that it was turning out. Like, the colors did not look right. Especially, like, the ABs. The color looked completely off for the centers of the flowers. And I'm like, well, what do I do? Do I try to reevaluate and rechart the whole thing? Or do I just not wait for it maybe to come out at Mystical Dream Diamonds? I'm like, no, I mean, I can do that. I don't have to do it in the fully hand-charted version that it's in now from Muni Made, but, like, what do I do? Okay, so I've got my... Let's switch this over really quickly. I've got all of my drills put into the containers. I'm using my Craftmates storage. We're going to put our spare drills in this little guy. And these I set to the side. There we go. I do love a Craftmates, but the problem with the Craftmates is that you can't do a kit over, I think it's 56. Because it's like there's 7 of these and then there's 8. So 7 times 8 is 56. Yeah. So yeah, you you know, only 56 to work with. And so if you've got a kit that is larger in color, then obviously you can't use a Craftmates. So Craftmates is beautiful. Love it. It can be a little bit of a learning curve to try and figure out, you know, like what you want to do with it. But okay, so second half here, I wanted to talk about enhancements, and hopefully you'll learn a little something from this whip and chat. One of my favorite things to do is to teach. Oh, I lost one of my buttons. I bet it's around on the floor somewhere. The top, like, snappy part of the button. It's not going to affect it, but okay, we'll put this over here for now, where that goes. And then let's talk about specials, because I think that enhancements are not nearly as hard as it's kind of made out to be by people. I think the biggest thing is whether or not you have the correct colors to be, or like the correct specials to be able to do enhancements on certain things. That is the tricky part, because you know, if you don't have that color palette in specials, then it can be a real pain in the butt. You've either got to buy something or figure something else out. So give me 1 second. I'm going to grab my specials. So I'm going to show you through that too. Okay, so I've got you a little higher up now, and I brought over my, like, sort of, it's not really a shoebox. It's a card box for, like, collectible cards, Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or whatever. And I put all of my specials, in fact, I put all of my leftover drills into this kind of storage as well. Although I use the larger, I think it's a 4 slot or 5 slot for my like regular drills, my regular leftovers, and I only have my square ones done right now. I still need to do my rounds, but I have everything separated into, you know, different stuff. Like I've got the first part here is my metallics, and then I have my crystals, and then I have crystal ABs, I have my sparklers, and this is all square drills, like through here and here. My rounds are this side over here, so you can see I have more squares than I do rounds. I've got sparklers and bubbles. I've got like literally so many sparklers, and then I also have, you know, sets that I've purchased from Diamond Art Club, or ones that the ones that are in these round containers. I think what I'm going to do is actually like put my round container stuff somewhere else. I'll show you why, because I've got a lot. So I unboxed the Pikmondu advent calendar set, and you get all kinds of specials with that particular set. And actually, I might have some stuff in these that I can use, but I've got these like containers full of, you know, specialty drills, although these two got mixed, obviously, the 554 and the 677, so I just keep those together for the moment. But yeah, I've got all kinds of specialty drills in little containers, and like, what the heck do I do with that? I've got, you know, more silver. I've got just plain crystal. So I have those too, and I can't fit them in there. So I generally just don't. I just don't. I don't put them in there. And I'm not mad or upset about that, but I do need to find a home for these, like for somewhere for these to live, where they won't be in the way. But for now, we will set them over on the side here in case I do decide to grab some of those and use them for, because I do now have like the Diamond Art Club metallics, but I've also got a green metallic, which is not in there. I've got it's like a different blue. It's close, but it's not exactly the same. And then the other one, where's the other one? Oh, it was a silver one, which I've already got silver, so I don't need a It's kind of a different silver look to it, but yeah, we'll put these over here for now. We can play with those if we want to. But I've got some, you know, like jelly ABs, which I might be able to do something with in this kit. And then I also always save all of my spares from like leftover kits. So, you know, I was recently working on a kit from Diamond Design Company, and I finished a mini, and that mini had a bunch of leftover drills. So look at that. We've got a fairy dust we might be able to use. I do have ABs and fairy dusts in here, but the way that I've separated the fairy dust is by color. So like I will be able to take advantage of the orange that I have in fairy dust or dust drills. I'm going to stick that in there. And then also when I finish a canvas, I have like all of the stuff from when I worked on crystal that's saved over here. And so I'm just going to keep those off to the side in case I see something in there that I want to use, because I do have like ivory fairy dust. I've got a lot of leftover crystal that I might play with in this canvas of that color. And then my Luna bubbles are in there. I've got, yeah, some stuff. So I'm going to keep those off to the side just in case there's something in there that I might want to use. We'll have to see. And then AB's 959. 959. Put it there. Perfect. Oh, I already have a 959. Look at that. Ooh. Okay. Anyways, so I have my specials I can play around with. I just kind of, starting out, I want to look at what exactly on this canvas that I could work on putting something special down. Now, like where you might want to enhance something. So the thing that kind of jumps out to me first, and honestly, it's looking at what would they have put in fairy dust in this kit, since all they had to work with was ABs. Where are the ABs and how can we kind of play off of that and then go from there? Now, obviously, the things that jump out are the butterflies, the flowers, her lips, her eyes maybe, or like the little sort of flower looking stuff around her eyes. And it looks like they have actually put those in AB, which I'm not mad at. And that's kind of it. I mean, the rest is very neutral. It's not like, you know, I'm not going to try and throw a fairy dust maybe into her shirt necessarily. I could, but and then looking to see where they've already put other specials. So all of the little florals around her eyes, basically, save for the orange stuff, they have actually used ABs on the white and the blue on her face. There's nothing going on with her lips. There is the white AB in the shine of her eyes, which I may replace out. And what I was thinking was I like to use bubbles for like shines, or how to best describe that. I like to use the bubbles when there's some sort of like eye shine or even eyeshadow sometimes. Like if there's a very light eyeshadow, the Luna bubbles look really good for that. It just really draws your eyes because it kind of looks wet, right? It's a bubble, it looks wet. So I may just go ahead and replace out the eye shines with the Luna bubble. So I'm going to keep these to the side. Next, in like the sprinkles that are in her hair, like the little, they would be glitter, honestly, I feel like. 775 is the color of these like little dots in her hair. She also has what is N? 827, which is another blue, but like here's 775 fairy dust or dust drills that I have, glimmer, whatever you want to call it. Then what I also like to do is to take the original color and see how well the special matches the original color. I am a kind of person who I like to sub out basically one for one. So if I'm replacing out the color, I want it to match. So let's grab out our 775, and as you can see, it's not a lot. There's not a lot in there. It's not going to call for a lot, but how well is this, drop it on the floor, how well is this going to match? You know what I mean? And in some cases, it's not necessarily going to matter if it's not a perfect match. I mean, you can see that these are just little dots in her hair, right? So it doesn't need to blend with anything. It doesn't need to do anything. And so going ahead and subbing it out for a color that maybe isn't exact match, but is really close, would be fine. Now, this is a 775 from another company. I might have a fairy dust that matches from Diamond Art Club. So I pull this out and I can actually see a 775 right here. And it looks like this is from Diamond Art Club. And I bet you it is a spot on match for the drills that we need. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this as well so that I can use this to sub out. I mean, it's basically the same amount that I already have in the container. And if nothing else, I can either decide to sub it, or I could put this in with it and mix it. Now, actually, oddly enough, it isn't a perfect color match. Wow. Okay. Hold on a second. Maybe we need a different color even yet than that. Because I've also got this, which is more of like a blue. See how they're all 775s, but they're from different companies? So they give you different, like a 775 can be different. So you really have to kind of either visually eyeball match it but look at that. That is much closer. That is a much closer match to what we're looking for than, like, say, this one, which is to green, and then this one, which is to blue. I think this is a good, it's close. It's much closer. So I'm going to take these, and as you can see, it's about the same amount as what I have in there. I can either decide to sub that out entirely for all of the little speckles that are on the canvas, or I can just put it in with my regular drills, mix them together, and then when I lay things down, it'll be really random. Now, if I was doing, let's say, a solid area of something, like let's say I was doing a bunch of the black background or the browns together, and I had a fairy dust to match with it, and I wanted it to look more like just something random, not necessarily, or like even in these big chunks of the background, I would mix it with the original color and then lay it down together so that it looked a little bit more spontaneous rather than super, super intentional. I enjoy doing that sometimes, but because these are literally just kind of sprinkles in, you know, her hair, or there's some like sprinkles in these flowers back here, I can just go ahead and sub this out and it'll be okay. So I'm going to set this aside with my Luna. Next, it looks like all of the like white that you see around the butterfly, those are ABs. All of the white in all of the butterfly, that has ABs. There's in the green that's in here, there's already the green AB that's put into the canvas. So we don't really need to do much with that. What else would we like to highlight? So the next thing I would look at maybe is to highlight some of these, or low light even some of these flowers, or in the butterfly's actual wing. So some of these colors, you might want to look for a 900, like a low light color, or conversely, you want to look for the lightest color that you might see. So on these white daisies, there's a white AB, but right next to it is an 819. It's like a light pinky peach. So then you kind of see, like, do I have any 819 in fairy dust? So I'm gonna grab out my pinks and see what we have in pink. I'm thinking I probably do not. Yeah, no, I don't really have anything for that. I've got a lot of pinks, so maybe we're not going to be able to put an 819 in there. It's probably going to be fine because there's an AB there. There's not a lot that I would need, that I feel the need to sub out or fix in here. I do wish that it had more orange, more something. And I feel like, would I want to put crystal? Would I want to put fairy dust? And for this one, I feel like subtle is good. I really kind of like maybe the insides of these blue flowers, maybe making them some sort of a crystal. And it looks like it's an 826. There's not a lot there, so I wouldn't be, eating up all of my special. Let's see. And it needs to be a good blue, but I want it to be something other than fairy dust, I think, because right next to it is a blue AB, like a light blue AB. So let's see. Do I have something that I feel like would be good to use there? I got a couple of little glow in the dark that are kind of similar to an 826. There's not very much in there, just a little bit. Got some pearls. Let's see about our crystals. Oh, I've got this light sapphire. Just like sparkler, but it's legit just a sparkler. Interesting. Okay. I have it as a special setup for another kit, but let's set that aside because we might actually want to use that. Okay. Not mad about any of that. Ooh, wait. I've also got some of these. Would that maybe go somewhere? I see a couple of visual matches where that might look good. This is why I kind of also like to just look through and see, kind of like what colors I might have and what might go with what's there on the canvas. So I think I want to see something more orange. And I don't have a lot of orange, unfortunately, in my specials because, again, it's not a color that I tend to. We've got this peach blossom. Can maybe do something with the peach blossom. We'll set that aside too, just to see what might look good. We've got a yellow. I don't want a yellow. I want... Okay, so now I'm going to look in my crystals. This one is a 3341 apricot crystal AB. And I do have a 3341 in here. But actually what I was looking at subbing out, which is like the orange on this, orange, like peach, on the flower, was actually something that was more of a visual match, which is this here, instead of this one, which is very, sticks out. It's like, boom. I think this would be a little more subtle. So let's take a look also to see what kind of orange I might have that I could use a 3341 in crystal. The problem that I already see, you see the backs on these ones? They're plastic. This is not the same as the updated sparklers, which have like metal on the back instead of plastic. And so the sizings on these are tricky. I would almost rather not use those at all if I don't have to. So we're gonna not use those. I do appreciate the updates over at DP with Sparklers in making sure that things are the right sizings, because oh my gosh. Okay, so like here's some more plastic. Ugh. But I do have other crystals saved from other kits, and I had these light crystals in the 3864. We might be able to play with that somewhere too. Because these other ones, it's just very, I could probably get away with, you know, like maybe zhuzhing up one flower. I've got a lot of 436. Let's play with that. Let's see what we can do with it. I'm also going to grab out this 3853 and see what we can do. Put my peach blossom back. I don't think I'm going to need that. Sometimes it's more or less just playing around and seeing what you might have that would fit or look good. And failing all of that, there are always the enhancement suggestions over on DP with Sparklers, or if you know somebody who's really good at enhancing, sitting down with them and having them kind of go over a canvas with you. It's hard when you don't have the canvas right in front of you to look at. So there's that, but there's some people who could go like, okay, show me your canvas, and then, you know, pick up those things like, oh, well, what about enhancing the outside of the butterfly's wings, and then picking up enhancements that would fit really well with that. So what I'm seeing here is, instead of like a one-to-one changing something all the way out, or, you know, making something work when it maybe isn't going to, I could probably do a little bit of like, okay, let's enhance this flower or these two flowers rather than subbing out everything, or let's give this one butterfly a lot of attention instead of all the butterflies, because I would love to bling up all the butterflies. It's just a matter of like, one, that's a lot of monarchs on here, and then two, you know, will I have enough to do that? So one thing that I do notice, because I like to zhuzh up eyes, I'm telling you, I'm going to put a Luna bubble in there, right, for the shine. But then I think I want to try and figure out, okay, so 720 that's in her eyes, it's this symbol here. I could probably get away with putting a couple of crystals in for her eyes, and it would just be like 1, 2, 3, 4 of the drills in that eye, and then 2 drills over in this eye, which maybe I would even do like the whole whatever bottom, but boom. Okay, so we're gonna do her eyes. And then I think maybe to do something fun with these 2 white flowers that have, it's like almost a peach line in them. See that peach line? So I was looking at this color to go in those lines. But see, now I'm kind of wondering, okay, is that going to be too much? Like, look at me. Would I rather do the insides of a couple of these flowers? And the beauty is, the color that I picked out for her eyes, that's the same color as the color in the center of these 2 three flowers right there. So I think I can go ahead and use this same crystal to do boop, boop, boop. All right. And then instead maybe of doing the lines in the flowers, because I feel like maybe that's a little too much, maybe I can get away with putting this in, maybe nowhere. Oh, we've got the shine on her lips, and that actually matches that color. That color is 3341, which is this sort of peachy color right there. It's a little bit light. It's not horrible. Kind of a visual match. We can set it aside and see if maybe there's somewhere where we might want to pop these in. No, that's too yellow, too brassy. And then, so like on the shine of her lips, we could put a crystal. I think that could look nice. And then, I don't know, it's hard. Okay, oh, the blue. The blue in the centers of these flowers. Those lines. It's a darker blue. That is where I was thinking of maybe using this sapphire type sparkler in the blue there. And that is 826. There's not a lot of it. I would say visually, that's almost a perfect match. We're going to set that aside for those flowers. And then we've got the centers of the flowers here that we're going to do something with. Like that. We like that. And then, because the edges of the butterfly wings already have ABs, I think that's going to be okay. If I had a sub out for like one of the orange colors in here, like maybe the low light or the highlight color, or even that like gray black, I think that's a 898. It's a brown. I would sub that out in the butterfly's wings, but no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave just the ABs. And then finally, we have the 775, which we're going to sub out some of the sprinkles that are out here in the outside. We're going to sub out the 775, and then the little sprinkles that are in her hair. I'm going to do with this, and then our Luna bubbles for her eyes. And see, we're not going to end up using a metric butt ton of these specials. We're just literally going to enhance a few little things to draw your eyes in and make you look a little bit closer at those elements. And I think that's plenty. That's plenty enough. Just some little things, some subtle things. Now, if you want to go crazy and completely sub out for a crystal or sub out for a sparkler or things like that, you can do those things too, but it's not all that hard. All you have to do is look for certain elements that you want to enhance and enhance them. Or if you want to go crazy and change out every single color for that crystal color or whatever, you can do that too. It's totally up to you. That's the beauty, I feel like, of doing any kind of enhancements or specials. It's like, it really is up to you, because at the end of the day, it's got to hang in your house, not mine. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go ahead and set these aside to go with the canvas that we're going to work on. Now, let me grab my tarot cards so that we can read a thought for the week, since we have figured out our enhancements for this here kit. Okay, so I already shuffled them. We're going to draw the top card. Let me make sure there's no boobs. No boobs. The Sage. Oh, okay. I feel like we've gotten the Sage before. The Sage seems like he likes to hang around. The Sage. What's he got to say? The Sage keywords are wisdom, hidden knowledge, retreat, old age, and patience. Here we see wisdom and deep inner understanding. One of the keys of wisdom is to organize, integrate, and simplify one's thoughts. Complexity often leads to confusion. Simplicity is to be valued. I agree with that on a whole lot of levels. This card signifies mental discipline informed by balanced learning and compassion. Tradition is valued, but appropriate change is accepted. The Sage knows when to let go and when to move on. He knows when to retreat and think things over. He compassionately and wisely shares his knowledge with others, teaching by example as well as by precept. The scales of justice are balanced in the Sage's hands. This card in a reading also signifies the need for deep consideration and refined judgment applied with compassion and mercy. And I think that kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier with regard to how important it is for us just to hear and to see each other and to accept that, okay, maybe I don't agree with everything that you say. I don't have to, but to at least understand why a person feels or thinks like they do. The sage very much is representative of that thought. And so poignant as an end cap for the kid up in chat. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. I hope that you enjoyed learning a little bit about enhancements and, I don't know, Wisconsin weather, how to unfreeze pipes. But yeah, that's all I have for you. I hope that wherever you are in this great big wide wintry world of ours here in the States, that you are having a glorious morning, evening, or afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. All right, see you next time. Bye.